Hey, how you doing? So in this video, I'm going to show you how I made this cool clip just using Premiere Pro. No After Effects needed. Check it out. Hey there everyone, and welcome back to the channel and yet another video. And what do you think of that little clip? It was all done on Premiere Pro, no After Effects were used, which, you know, maybe to the trained eye you could probably tell, but as a budding filmmaker or somebody whose mind seems to explode just like mine when they even look at the sort of like what After Effects can do, I wanted to see if I could push the limits a little bit and try to have a little look at what I can do with Premiere Pro and sort of like try to expand my knowledge. Like most tutorials that I'm doing on this sort of like channel at the moment, a lot of it is to see if I can do it, to see if I can push myself and then sort of show you how I did these type of things. And yeah, then just basically put another sort of string on my bow of a filmmaker, really. So that's the plan. Now, with a lot of things when it comes to filmmaking, I know the practicality of how things are done, but I've never really put them into practice before. I've never really done a green screen scene before. I've never really sort of like put it all together, and I've never really sort of like had the courage or the enthusiasm to put it out there for the world to see. So this week I decided to put all of my sort of like tropes aside and just give it a go, and I've enjoyed the entire process. Now, what I wanted to do with this particular clip is I wanted to not just do a green screen scene, which you can see my setup behind me, but I wanted to bring some practical effects in it as well. I wanted to sort of like mix what you probably call a miniature set as well as green screen, and that is exactly what I'd done. So to start off with, what I put together was I went out to my garden and I found a couple of rocks and I put them onto my table in a sort of like shape of a nice cliff. And then I actually used bacon flour to sort of use as the ground of this alien planet that I wanted to use. I like using flour in these type of situations because you can sort of manipulate it quite nicely. It's very fine, and the texture sort of came out very sort of like ashy, sort of volcanic rock type sort of texture, and it looked really, really good. Even though potentially maybe the camera couldn't pick it up so well because it was quite refined and sort of very sort of like, the details were very sort of like particular, but I liked how the sort of the shot went. Now the next stage was the green screen scenario. So I set up my green screen, I made sure the green screen was nicely and evenly lit, I made sure I was nice and lit, and I made sure that I stayed within the parameters of the green screen because I knew that I would have to sort of mask myself out and it would just be a little bit easier. I didn't need to worry too much when I was shooting it that if I had the sides of the green screen, because I knew that I could just cut myself out and then key the green that's around me, and then yeah, like a nice little rough cut. And then it was time to sort of take all that away and start building my scene. One of the most important things that I needed was, of course, the alien planet. So I went onto an AI software and I created 2 particular photographs. All created, I put into what I wanted. I said an alien planet with 2 suns, used the sort of colors of blue and purple as a reference, and it came up with these 2 lovely photos, which I then put into the scene, and then we went straight into Premiere Pro. So let's have a look at the edit. So here we are in Premiere Pro, and I've got my first clip just here, and then I've also got the photo clip underneath, the sort of AI generated alien planet with the 2 suns or 2 planets in the background. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to effects, and I'm going to try to find the Ultra key, which is what we are going to use to get rid of the green screen. So we're going to put that onto my actors clip like that, and we're going to come down and find it, and it's right there at the bottom. And to make life a little bit easier, we're just going to get the eyedropper, tap it on the green bit, and it will disappear. But just to refine that, we're going to go into alpha mode, and we want to make all this black and all this white. So we're going to play around with the matte settings and try our best to make it as best as we can. So all that, make it all black, make that all white, make it as good as we can when we're happy. See, I've got that right up to max. There we go, see, nice. And then we're going to go back to the original setting, and that will give us the sort of like the alien screen background. Now, because it's a closer up shot from the master shot, I want to go into my alien world, and I'm just going to upscale it slightly to sort of match when it cuts away to me being on the master shot, which is the sort of like the money shot of the scene. So we're just going to try and make that fit as best as we can. And with that is how we're going to be satisfied with the overall clips. And we're going to do that with all the rest of the clips when it is just me and the background, and for the green screen, just as simple as that. But I wasn't overall happy with how it looked with the original take. So what I ended up doing was adding a little bit of motion blur or camera blur in the background, just to sort of add a little bit of depth to the scene itself. So I brought camera blur in, and I put the percentage down to 3% to try to give you that sort of like depth of field, to make it look a little bit more realistic. And I hope that works nicely. But the more complicated side of this was, of course, the master shot. So we're going to scoot all the way over here. Now, there was an awful lot going on here. So this is actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different video layers going all together. So you've got me with the green screen. You've also got the sort of like the practical effect of the rocks and the flower. You've got the background, which is a generated image, and you've also got this one here, which is also another generated image which I created, and you've also got the birds. So we did the exact same thing with the green screen, but the first thing we've done is that we made a very sort of rough mask around myself, just like that, and then we brought the Ultra key over, and again we used the little eyedropper to mask out the green, used the choke, and then we just positioned me where I needed it to go. So we scooched myself all the way across, made myself smaller to try to fit the scene as good as I can. Now the same went for the foreground, because where I needed it, we had this nasty little gap just here. So I created a whole new image, and for depth of field, I added again a camera blur to try to blur out the trees. But because it was also a bigger image as well, which this is the whole image, I used a mask cut around to give me the rest of the image just there. And again, I added some camera blur to give it more depth of field. What I also wanted was to try to bring a little bit of movement in this. I found it very, very still. So again, I went online and I found a green screen bird's flight, which was this here. And again, used the Ultra key, used the eyedropper, went across, and then I got rid of the green screen. Now, this was in fact a frozen green screen bird, so they didn't actually move. So what I had to do then was track it up this way. So at the beginning of the clip, I had the birds on one side of the screen, and as the clip went along, I made the birds move to the other side of the screen. Now for the rotating Earth segment, I wanted a really sort of like cool hologram type feeling going here. So again, I went off and I found myself a hologram of a rotating planet, just happens to be Earth. Again, it was a green screen, so I put it in the sort of position that I wanted it, used the Ultra key and the eyedropper to get rid of the green screen, and then I just added a quick little glitch effect at the beginning to sort of give it the illusion that it sort of flickered up, and then also at the back, and then it was just a nice little clip of the sort of the planet rotating as I was trying to find what I was looking for. And then after that, I just added a couple of snowdrop effects, which then I warmed up to give it the look of sort of like volcanic ash, to sort of fly in the air again, to give a little bit of movement to the scene. We've got the birds in the background as well, to sort of give again a bit of movement. And then I added some sound design, because I recorded this whole thing with 0 sound. So everything you hear, I went over to Epidemic Sound, found the sound effects that I wanted, an alien planet, ambient sound, all sorts of things, just to try to make the scene sort of come alive a little bit, and also a nice little effect when the hologram came up as well a little bit, and a bit of a technical hum if you can hear it in the background. And that's how I made this little sci-fi clip, only using Premiere Pro. And there you have it. That was it, done and dusted. It probably took me about a day and a half to complete. As you can see, there were a lot of sort of like layers and a lot of cuts and a lot of sort of like things to go on top of each other and try to sort of like, I wasn't overall happy with the first cut, so I went back, I put a couple of LUTs on top of it as well, got myself some adjustment layers, and I tried to make it as good as I could. Am I 100% satisfied with it? No, I am not. And that's a good thing, because that strives me to be better. I liked the overall feel of the scene itself. I like the sort of like the technical terms. I like the idea that I had to sort of figure out how I'm going to put the birds into motion. But there were a couple of shots there that it just looks like a cheap Mortal Kombat type-esque shots. Like you know it's green screen. Even though you sort of know I'm not on an alien planet, you know it's green screen because of the way it looks slightly. Even though I did my best to try to sort of like make it as real as possible, but you know, I'm not dealing with Hollywood equipment here. I've got my AED camera. I'm in my garage at the end of my garden, which is my studio. And I think with everything put together, it can pass as a half decent, low budget scene. And if you just sort of like put all the practical effects on top, it sort of builds in. But I've enjoyed the experience. I've enjoyed sort of learning if I can do it, and quite clearly that I'm confident with the end result, hence the reason why it is out there on the internet for everyone to see. If you have any questions, quotes, or queries about anything that you've seen in this video, please do not hesitate to hit them in the comments just down there. I would be happy to get back to you as and when I can. But we are so close to 1,000 subscribers here on this channel, and I would love it if you enjoyed this video, or if you've seen me before and you haven't quite taken the plunge in subscribing to the channel, please consider to do so and stay up to date with everything that I do here at Benham Media. And of course, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, and that way it will share the love across YouTube as well. The Green Room Musical tickets are still available. I'm gonna leave all links just down there, so please go and have a look. September 2023, it is premiering within the United Kingdom, and I want all of your wonderful smiling faces on the front row enjoying what we have created there, and my wonderful wife who's just blows me away with what she is doing. But guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. You know what to do, and until next time, I will see you later on. Bye.